Lee. Let's go. Ready, Mr. Lee? Keeping that agenda tight means starting on time.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay, we got this. No internet, there we go. Okay, so we are going to call to order, excuse me, this Board of Education regular meeting on Tuesday, December 17th at 6:01 PM with a roll call, please.
Dr. Michael Thomas.
Present.
Lauren Dowden. David Shepherd.
Present.
Rachel Merrickwin.
Present.
Denise Jones, yes. Michael L. Miller.
Present.
Colleen Clemzak.
Present.
All members are present.
Look at us, good job. All right, if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we could again review the page and a half only agenda at our places, and if I don't have any additions or deletions. So if we don't, and everyone else is good with that, if I could have a first motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Excellent. And a second, please? Thank you. And a roll call, please.
Dr. Michael Thomas.
Yes.
Michael L. Miller.
Yay.
Denise Jones, yes. Rachel Merrickwin.
Yes.
David Shepherd.
Yes.
Lauren Dowden.
Yay.
Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Awesome. Okay. Staff reports.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So my first report this evening is from a member of our Parent Advisory Committee. So this school year, we've started to include parent voice in our decision making, and we have thus far had 3 meetings this school year. And so I'd like to introduce Ms. Tierney Smith, and she's going to provide you with an update on some of the work that we've begun this year.
Thanks for being here. Hello.
Hello.
As stated, my name is Tierney Smith, and I'm pleased to be a member of the Parent Advisory Committee. I have 2 kiddos at Central, and I've gone through Northwest, and we've been in district the whole time. So it's really nice that we have this committee where we can have a voice. And I can say as a member too that the committee is very diverse. We have members from all 4 quadrants. Although we would like to maybe have a few more men in the group, it is nice to kind of see that diversity and hear the voices from everybody in our community. The focus has been on communication, so we spent the last few meetings really focusing on communication. What we kind of got from that is we went from kind of spotty communication to this year, everybody feeling a bit overwhelmed at the excessive amount of communication.
Okay.
To now kind
That's good
of,
feedback.
coming
Too
up with a
far
plan.
the other direction.
Yeah.
Okay, noted.
Swinging the pendulum.
This is good to know, okay.
So no, it was really good. So we kind of set up some guidelines of expectations from both parents, teachers, principals, and the district. Some like a format essentially, so that parents aren't being, because when you're getting 5, 10 messages, emails, whatever, like you stop looking at them. So we kind of came up with a plan to really solidify it and make sure that we're getting communication as needed, and in a way where we're not always bombarded and receiving all that communication on Friday or Monday or whatever. So I think the plan that we put in place sounds really, really good, so I think we're excited for that. The next thing we kind of talked about was just getting feedback from parents, and overwhelmingly, the website was determined to be terrible. So
A lot
I'm
of
excited.
information out there, okay.
I'm excited to say that there's a plan to completely overhaul that and have it ready to go in the fall. So I think, parents like to, if it is nice having this SMORE platform where we can kind of go back in and see previous communications and things like that. But also, something as simple as you're picking your kid up for a doctor appointment, you want to be able to go to the website and figure out what's a good time to do that. So just getting all those things updated so that parents can easily communicate with teachers, I think is going to be really good. I'm also a board member for the District 124 Athletic Association, and we're pretty excited. Parent feedback was You know, sometimes with our quadrants, they can be a bit isolating, and we would have teams that would be a combination, say, northeast and northwest.
That was
And
immediately implemented this
it
year,
was,
right?
yeah,
Like,
well, I'm
look
the
at
one that
you
does
guys.
that stuff,
I
so it was
was-
very easy
That
to
was
put
such great
forward.
news, so
Yeah,
thank you so much for that.
we're really excited to say that, at least for our volleyball team, we got a little pushback from the basketball team, but at least for our volleyball team, we're able to do combined teams. So it doesn't feel like, you know, if we have five kids coming from northeast and 6 kids coming from northwest, that they have to be Northwest Mustangs, right? So instead, we did teams like EP North and EP South, and they can come up with their own mascots and really feel like a part of the community. So I think that's gonna be a really big plus as well. And in our last meeting, after kind of wrapping up our plans for communication, we all talked and really tried to focus where our direction would go in the future. And it was pretty much consistent between all the groups that we talked about to focus on the PBIS, the positive behavior plans that we have in place, as well as a focus on the mental and social emotional learning of our students. So I think we'll get good things coming from that as well.
And those are so directly linked.
Yes.
So that's a great, like, to tackle them together makes a lot of sense, so.
Absolutely. I
That's
think that
really
is all of my updates.
Any insights on the communication plan?
Insights on the communication plan. So certain things like, you know, if the district is gonna send an email, that email will not come the same day that a principal's sending an email.
Mhm.
And
I saw
teachers,
that.
if teachers like are expected to maybe send communication twice a month, while principals and district would then send it on different days and alternating weeks, so that, again, we're not getting overwhelmed with the amount of communication that's coming in. Also using the standard platform for everyone, using the SMORE platform. First of all, it makes it like visually appealing, which is kind of nice for the parents. But it's really easy to navigate, and, you know, I think we talked about the analytics, like most parents are checking it out on their phone. So it's really easy, just pull it up and scroll through and see all that.
And I will send the board again the document that reviews all of our recommendations, which will go into effect next school year. So we have also time to communicate those expectations with teachers.
I think you sent that to us after the last
I may have, yes.
meeting, cause I was looking at that the last couple days. And the, not everything every Friday.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, that's smart. And the teachers having the opportunity, it has to be at least twice a month?
At
It
least
might
with-
be
it could
more. I know that some of the teachers they'll do it like more than twice a month, but having that, knowing that everyone will get that check-in at least twice a month, that's really important.
Well,
So
and
I
what
really respected that.
Yeah, I think what's really great about it too is what we really talked about is the different needs of our students, like our little guys, you know, our K through 3, maybe have communication a little more often, right?
Oh,
Like
sure.
what's the theme of the week, all those things that are going on.
Mhm.
But my son in 8th grade, I don't need a weekly update. It's okay, he's fine, he should be doing what he's doing, you know? So I feel like just being aware that the needs of our students vary and do vary greatly by
That's
age, and I think that's important with the expectations.
And if they need an update, they could just go into the app and kind of scroll through to see
Yep.
what kind of upcoming events.
Absolutely.
It's already.
So like one of the ones that people really like the most was getting the central connections that was just packed with information, and it had the links on there,
Back
and
there.
everybody's able to kind of
She's
go back and see.
I see you. I see you, Jenna Mueller.
So
And
that was a
all of you
favorite
back there,
in terms
yeah.
of the format and ease of use and being able to go back to previous weeks and kind of see if you missed something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was kind of like our gold star of what we were looking for. And then the younger parents really talked about, like the parents of younger kids really talked about liking Class Dojo and hoping to
Oh,
encourage the
sure.
teachers to post pictures all the time and give updates and what's the spelling list this week, you know, stuff like that.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
I don't know how your 8th grade son is. I have 3 sons and they were not always big on details. So the fact that like if he were still there, that I could go back and look from week to week, I
Absolutely.
imagine that would be really, really helpful.
It's really helpful, because we wouldn't hear anything, you know, once they went to middle school, there's
You
nothing.
had my son. Okay.
So that's been really great, so people really seem to like that, and I think that's been a plus. It was just, I think most of the parents felt a bit overwhelmed with the overall amount that we were receiving,
Okay.
so kind of really coming up with those guidelines so that you don't feel like, oh, this is the one I'm gonna look at, that you'll look at each one when they come out on their respective days.
And if you have children in more than one building,
Absolutely.
like then it's even and the high school, like, then it's even more, and we do get a lot of them, we get them all as board members, so, no, I think that's really great, and it gives you an opportunity to say how much is enough and how much is too much.
Absolutely,
So
that's why it's
that's
really nice,
just-
is to have the voice in
Yeah.
the committee, and everyone that's in there really does have a strong voice and speak up for what they're looking for, what they believe in, and I think coming together with that has been really cool.
That's awesome. Next meeting is February?
February, yes.
Okay, so you have a little
Maybe
time
end
off.
of January.
Little break.
Little break amidst all the other ones.
Well, thank you so much for coming out tonight, I really appreciate it.
And thank you for your participation on the
Yes,
committee. That sounds like
absolutely,
quite the
yeah.
commitment, and I'm so glad that we've got that in place and that we do get an opportunity to hear from what our parents have to say. So,
Absolutely,
thanks so much.
thank you.
Thank you. Before we grab a cupcake, everyone really likes the snacks at our parent advisory committee too, that's always on my feedback.
You can stay, or if you don't want to, that's okay too, so. Why don't people take me up on that? I don't understand. Okay. That's awesome.
Are we ready, boys?
Oh.
Okay, so next up on my presentation is we have two members from our student advisory board who have come to me with a very, very important topic, and they've spent this fall really doing a lot of research, talking to their peers about grading practices and how they think we can better improve our grading practices in the district. So at this time, they've put together a beautiful PowerPoint. I'm gonna invite Emmett and Chitty up to the podium, and they are gonna present.
Thank you very much. Welcome, gentlemen. Glad to have you with us. I was gesturing to Dr. Thomas because he's a teacher at the high school, so this is obviously something that's very interesting to all of us, so please.
I'm Emmett Kaloran. I'm an 8th grade student at CMS, and I live in like the southwest quadrant.
I'm Chitty Warrior. I'm an 8th grader at CMS, and I live in the northwest quadrant.
And our topic is grading changes and how we could like implement them to be equivalent to the high school, because the scale and like other topics are not equivalent. And all D1 through 4 schools start off with a 7-point scale, which is 100 to 93, then to 85, then to after that it goes to like a 10. But like the higher two grades are 7-point, which does not align. And then assignments and assessments are put equally, which they should be put more weighted for bigger assignments. And the EP does a summative formative, which I think is a lot better because I've experienced both, and I feel like the high school does a better job. That's the current grading scale. It's 10, so like A is 190, B is 90, 80, C is 70. 80 to 70, and then after you get to an F, which is lower.
We should change grading scales because it would make it easier for students and parents to understand what grade their students getting. I would also, boost student confidence when they see that their grade is like a higher letter. Like instead of a B, they'll have like an A minus, and then it would be so that like you make high honor roll, like they would have a higher chance. It would also help students be aware of how they're gonna grade assignments at the high school. It's gonna be like the same thing, and then the summative and formative weighted percentage would have a big impact on their grade, cause some kids they might like goof off in class cause it won't do anything, but like when it's 40% of your grade, it will like make it more important.
That's true. Thank you.
We want to like the changes to begin in all D124 schools for the 2025 to 2026 academic calendar. SEC would have to make adjustments in PowerSchool to change the grading scale, and teachers would have to post on Google Classroom and explain at the beginning of the year to their advisory, their students. The school board and Dr. Woodland would have to communicate the changes with parents, and would have to train teachers on the new grading scale.
How to implement weighted percentages, we would have the CMS grading committee start off with the summative/formative weighted grading. It could be students like me and Chitty were there when we were there that 1 week, and then teachers and administration. Tech would work with teachers to set up percentages in Power School. Dr. Woodland and the board would inform parents of changes, and then teachers would explain to advisory, or at the littler schools, just talking like homeroom, the differences between summative and formative, if we decide that the elementary should also have it. Thank you for having us and taking our ideas into consideration. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask.
Okay.
So, yes, first of all, yes, thank you.
Emmett and Chitty, can you give them a little bit of context? So you go to the high school, right? For what? What do you go to the high school for?
ELA and math.
ELA and math. Do you both go for ELA and math?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you've experienced this grading scale at the high school?
Yeah.
And what benefits do you see it having?
I feel like it's more effective for grading and how the grades are based also off participation, so kids, like Chitty said, can't goof off. And then if you don't pay attention, you can't do good on the assessments, which are worth even more.
Great, thank you.
And I think you said it at the end, but you're proposing that we make the changes at the middle school level at this point?
Yeah, like 7th and 8th, maybe not 6th because they're still like younger, but at least
Okay.
7th and 8th.
Kind of easing into it though. We have pre-K to 3 are not numbers.
2.
2, okay, pre-K to, okay, so having that and then kind of easing in 3rd through 6th perhaps. And maybe seeing how it goes for 7th and 8th and then adding 6th if that's what, like if it seems to be appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask Dr. Thomas.
Yeah, what do you want?
So do you have, like, knowing that, I mean, I know you have a student in in 124 as well, but you teach at the high school level. I'm putting you on the spot
I
terribly.
like the 60-40 better.
Okay,
We spent the last couple of years where we were allowing different content areas to sort of pick what those category weights were going to be.
got it.
But a big thing that we saw was like, if people were using a total points method, sometimes things weren't equitable, like, you know, for example, if Michael was teaching a class
A big
and he
project.
gave 10 assignments and then gave an assessment, those 10 assignments may have more value than the assessment did.
Yeah.
You know, they may end up having way less value, but like, you know, you really as a teacher would have to be considerate in terms of like, how many points am I making each of these things worth along the way?
Yeah, definitely.
To really get that breakdown that you might want, where when you go to like the weighted categories, now you're having it where it's like, it's set, like my assessments are gonna be 60% of the grade. Whether I give 10 assessments or I give 50 assessments, I don't give 50 assessments.
Don't worry.
You know, but that would equal this same 60%.
Sure.
You know, I mean, like the way I do it is every assessment's worth 25 points. You know, so every unit now has like an equal weighting in terms of like, how much does that impact the student's grade? You know, and then the formative assessments that we give are like sort of like those check-ins after the kids do an assignment. You know, and that makes up their 40% where we can
Got
go
it.
back and reteach and things based on the feedback that we're getting.
Well, and I think what was interesting too is because they've experienced this at the high school, they were both able to really explain like what a formative assessment is, what a summative assessment is, and the weights behind them.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I feel like at CMS, like I think that like those kids can grasp those, I mean, I feel like,
Yeah.
like you said, like you said, Colleen, like the idea of the, you know, maybe like a 3rd grader, like knowing like, oh, this is my summative assessment, you know, they're like, well, that, you know what I mean?
These gentlemen are a little more, yeah.
So I do feel like,
they
I mean,
understand that
there
about
is like
better.
there would be a layering, you know, just like you go from like, hey, you're gonna get like, you know, almost like a pass-fail type grade to now you're getting a letter grade, you know, to now you're getting here. But I think like to their point too, the categories in terms of the grades and the percentages
Yeah.
is something, like, I mean, you know, making things on a 10-point scale rather than a 7-point scale allows for, I think, more equity in terms of grade distribution. You know, if a student gets an assignment and it's out of 10 points, and you miss one, you know, on a 7-point
already-
scale, like
yeah.
you're down to a B now.
Yeah, you're already down to a B.
You know, you
This
miss
is true.
2, it's like, hey, C, welcome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, where it's like, you know, I think a lot of times, you know, teachers will pick a number like a 10 or, you know, a 5, you pick a 5, you miss one, now you get a C.
Yeah.
You know, it's
already
like,
down to
where
that.
went the B?
Yeah.
You know, so those are some of the things where I think that like changing the scale can also be beneficial.
And so you propose this then for next school year,
Yeah.
to have this adjustment then? Okay.
So they have both already, and Dr. Carlson maybe can chime in about, she's having a grading committee right now with teachers and administrators.
Excellent.
And they actually went and presented to teachers, which is
Oh.
much scarier than presenting to us, right?
Yeah, right.
That's awesome.
But they
Good
did
for
a great
you.
job,
It was
didn't
nice.
they?
It was good.
Really great, yeah, so we've met, we have an elementary grading committee that we are doing, and then also a middle school one, and both committees met in November. And so the boys both came to the middle
Excellent.
school and sat in and did a wonderful job articulating, you know, opinions on this and just other things that we were discussing at the committee. So we welcome their participation and their feedback.
Just wanna add, I think that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more things we introduce on the junior high level that can roll into the high school level is better for all the students.
Right?
Like my daughter, she took Spanish,
Yes.
you know, in the junior high, which transitioned over to the high school, and she aced it, no problem. So, 10 points is better than 7, most definitely. You know, and I think it'll be good to introduce that at the junior high level, so therefore when they do get to the high school level, it's not a culture shock, it's not an adjustment to be done, they can just keep on striving.
I know so many of our students do go to EP High School, but I also know that some of our students go to other high schools as well. And I know that this has come up in the last, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and those other high schools also are on the 10-point versus the 7-point. So I think that it really helps all of our students, regardless of where they might be headed when they're done here, to be more prepared as well, to go wherever they're headed. So, yeah, I know we talked about it, but you gentlemen brought it farther than it had, than a couple of years ago, so I really appreciate that.
They did this all on their own. This is
I
all
think
their
that is
idea.
amazing. Yeah, I don't wanna put you on the spot, but how did this come to you?
I just thought like 7-point was like harder. I was getting B's sometimes, like usually I had A's, but like I'd have an 88 or sometimes even a 92 and it's not an A.
Yeah.
And so
So close, right? Oh, so close.
Very good.
And advocating for this for all the students, I really commend that too, so that's really great.
Yeah, you're both graduating, so why would you want to?
benefit from
I know. That is leadership, is looking ahead to your fellow students who are coming after you and wanting
Yes.
to make it better for them, so I really commend you for that as well, so.
Great.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to tell us?
no.
Good
Not
job.
about the locker rooms?
Not today. That'll be another meeting. We
Another
heard-
meeting,
That's
right?
another
We
meeting,
heard about
right?
that. We took our tour, we heard about that.
Right.
That'll be another meeting. Well, thank you very
All
much.
right,
I
thank you
really
so much. We'll
appreciate
keep
your
you
input.
updated. We appreciate your participation, and of course, grab a cupcake
Oh, yeah.
for the
Right.
family. We've got plenty.
Well done. Thank you so much. We've got the full perspective. Dr. Carlson?
Yes, so I brought special guests tonight so that you don't have to.
All the special
Me.
guests
So
tonight.
have
I love it.
Frank from the library, I'm really
I love Frank
excited.
Murray.
We've been working a lot through our community partnership grant, and the library is one of the groups in that grant. And Frank is just doing so many wonderful things at the library and helping us to support our students here at EP. So I wanted him to come and share all of the greatness.
Oh, greatness.
All the
I
greatness.
mean,
First of all, it's gonna be tough to follow these.
I know.
You guys,
Yeah,
that
right?
takes a
They
lot
did
of
a
courage
great
and
job.
bravery. Way to go, guys. That is awesome.
Outstanding.
Fabulous job. And I'm gonna need you guys to help me with my next PowerPoint presentation.
I'm so
I do not have one.
Okay.
But as Dr. Carlson said, my name is Frank Murray. I'm the library director at the Evergreen Park Public Library. I'm also an Evergreen Park resident here. My kids are proud D124 students as well over at Northwest. But we have been partnering for the past, well, we got the district community grant about, what, a year and a half ago? And, right, roughly?
2.5
Three?
years.
Yeah, that's right.
Time flies.
Time is not,
You're a busy
So-
guy, Frank.
So one of the goals, it's all about assisting our students with the social, emotional, and their well-being, empowering them. And one of the ways that the library is going to assist with that is giving students the access to the resources they can to achieve their academic success, which in theory hopefully will alleviate some of that social and emotional issues that they might be having or dealing with. So if we can help them succeed, especially when they leave our great schools, they have those resources at their fingertips. So every student in District 124 is going to be issued a public library card. That library card will serve as any regular library card. They can come into the library, check out any type of book, video, whatever it might be. We also have ebooks and audiobooks, even e-magazines that you can download, as well as video content that you can stream, all for free with your public library card. And we're more than a place of just books, as I just mentioned, we have e-content. But we have access to a variety of different databases that can assist students and parents as well. We also have laptops and Wi-Fi hotspots that people can check out. I do wanna put a little asterisk there, though, they will need an adult to check those out, cause those,
Fair enough.
we need to get those back. We need to have somebody make sure they get those back. So there's information on that. Each student, what we're gonna do, we had over 1,600 people participate in the program, 1,600 students.
It's amazing.
Yes, 700 of those students already had an active library card. So they are gonna keep their active library card. They're still gonna get a nice lovely letter explaining the partnership with District 124. They're also gonna get a nice lovely little brochure that highlights all the great resources that the library has. And then the students that did not have a library card, there's about 900 of them. We won't hold it against them, but they're gonna get one.
I have now.
They do now.
Yeah.
They do now. So that took a long time. I wanna thank Dan for helping us out with getting all the information. He was a huge help. Dr. Carlson, Rebecca as well. It's a lot of moving parts to make this happen. And our circulation manager, who is not here, Ana Gomez, is very thankful that all those 900 cards are done and complete. She's very happy. And she also recommended a suggestion to me about, improving things at the library. You guys are talking about improving grading. We have the old school barcode where you actually have to put the sticker barcode on the physical card.
Wow.
So we're gonna be getting pre-printed barcodes. Yes,
Okay.
make her job a little bit easier, especially when she has 900 cards to make. So the students those 900 will be getting a letter with that library card, along with the letter and the brochure in there as well. And we're looking to launch this will be when they get back from school, back from break.
Oh, okay.
We'll make a visit to each school. We're talking about doing it here this week. It's probably best to hold off because of the holiday, right? The last
busy.
thing I think
A
anybody
little busy
wants,
this
yeah,
week, yeah.
that card might get lost pretty quickly. But we're very excited to partner with District 124
That's brilliant.
and give our students the resources they need. So
Nice.
thank you guys all, and
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yes,
Any
thank you, Frank.
questions?
No, it's great.
Do we do any formalized trips or programming to teach our 900 new students or new members what resources are available, or how to use them, or hey, here's where the Nintendo Switch game section is, just to get them in the door? Do we have anything like that scheduled?
That's a great idea. We don't have anything. We can work with building principals to see about maybe some.
Typically do our pre-K field
Yeah,
trip over
pre-K
to the
is always
library,
there.
pre-K.
Yeah.
we have some other classes that will come in, or
A lot of central students come over.
I always see after school gets out, tons of Central kids go over. They just that's one of their spots to go hang out in the library.
usually got 20 or 30
I actually
kids there after school.
You could add, because just recently, my son, he's 11, he's non-verbal autistic. We have recently started to experience coming to the library, and he finds it excellent. He finds you all have an area for stemming, that's what we call it. And he'll select a book off the shelf, and he'll literally lay out on the floor and he'll just read it there. I mean, at one point you all had, I think there were like baby chicks in there.
Yeah.
They're fish in there.
Spring.
So I don't know if you can just express also to the parents, you know, of students with special needs, it's a really great place because it's quiet. So therefore,
Sometimes, yeah.
most of the time when he's there, he can go into the area, there's not loud noises or anything that, you know, would stimulate him to go into like a meltdown or anything. It's a perfect place and he really loves books. So.
We also have a great program called Stack Social Club that's geared to students with special needs, especially at young adult, early adult age. And they're actually meeting this Sunday at the library. They meet an hour before we open and
Oh, that makes so
I
much
guess,
sense.
yeah. We always bring in an outside presenter to talk about health, fitness. This one is gonna be, we got a singer coming in to do some holiday songs, so it's a really, really good program.
Great.
What time on Sunday?
It's gonna be at 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock on Sunday, okay.
I know you have so many great programs.
Oh, yes.
And I was, the social emotional, I was thinking about the reading buddies, like
Yes,
the,
thank you.
I love it. Making sure that these newly minted 900 plus 700 students, I get it in my mailbox, right? Like in theory, everyone gets it in their mailbox too, but like having that as a link to that on the regularly, oh, Tierney's gone, the regularly scheduled, district, events, if we could like kind of bring those things together, since the expectation then is that, hey, guys, you've got these resources. Here's a link to everything going on that 11 o'clock on a Saturday or on a Sunday. I'm not trying to give anybody any more work. It's so not, but I know it's on the website. I know it's on, I'm on the website all the time,
It's
like,
on the
I know it's on the
website,
website.
and big thank you to our principals and Dr. Woodland's right in front of me. We gather, specifically our programs, it's a big thing for us. Last year we set a record, we had over 12,000 people come to the library just for programs, and this year we're gonna break 13, probably 14,000.
Amazing,
Crazy.
amazing.
Only 20,000 people that live in
Awesome.
It really is, it's awesome.
Exactly. So yeah, one for every person that's coming in.
There you go.
That's really
My
great.
point to that was the principals and Superintendent Woodland are including that in their communications. We
Yeah.
put together a nice little brochure,
Yeah, those brochures are
a
really
little flyer,
nice.
so.
We would be
Reading
happy
buddies
to
is on
mail things for you too, though, if there's ever a time where like if sometimes people are more inclined to read paper, so
Perfect.
we're happy to do that.
And we also made sure our letter that we're gonna be giving every student is in English and Spanish as well.
Quick question on the students' library cards. Is there any way for, at least like I know the middle school students have a student ID? I think we do it where on the back of their ID is their library card.
Right.
Like, could we do something like that? Because I think that that's just an easy way for the kids, like the students have to have their IDs, like for school purposes. So like to just have that same card that you carry, maybe you slide it into your phone case or something like that. But like then if you're at the library after school and you're like, oh, I wanna go check out a book, it's not like, oh, shoot, my library card's in my sock drawer. It's like, let me just use this card, pull it out, here it's on the back, scan it, and
Since Anna just printed 900.
yeah, not now, but I'm just saying, like,
Could we do it for 25, 26? Cause I was thinking that, like, you're printing all those things, but I know the high school, it's
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 just
on the
print on.
back, which is, it's something they already have.
That's a great point too, and that's something we thought about too. So the student IDs, so this is, we're part, the Evergreen Park Public Library is part of a larger library consortium
Swan.
called SWAN.
Yeah.
There's
Okay,
100 different suburban libraries that participate in the SWAN consortium. We are part of the pilot program to launch student library cards, and one of the things is on there is that traditionally with these integrated library systems, only one barcode is allowed to work. And what we're trying to do is add the student ID as a secondary active barcode. So if they lose their card or forget it, they can still come in with their ID, or they can, if they're at home and they're like, I know my ID number,
Type it in.
I got that memorized, they can type it in.
Oh, that's
And get
awesome.
access to the resources.
Nice.
It's still in
Beta.
I like it.
It was just a thought.
no, but
I'm
it's
not trying to give you more
a
homework.
great thought, and hopefully we'll have that
that'd be cool.
tackled, as long as our
Nice.
SWAN consortium will work and play nice, so
Look at you, cutting edge. I love it.
we're doing good. fun. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Great, thanks for being here. And grab a cupcake.
And don't worry, I'll be getting cupcakes, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see you, Dr. Woodland and I will see you on Friday at the Chamber of Commerce
Chamber of
luncheon.
Yes.
Have a good time.
So there you go.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Amanda. I know she's back there. She's right on the other side of the podium from me.
Hi,
Like,
Amanda.
I know you're there, but you're, hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Happy holidays.
Likewise.
We're almost there. So just a few DEI updates. The first one, I'm a picture person, so I tried to put some pictures on the screen here. I'm really proud of this. Just a little backstory to this. I applied and interviewed to become an affinity group facilitator through Illinois' Teach Plus program. Teach Plus is a program that does many things around educational policy, but one of the things they do is help fund and support facilitators so that they can run an affinity group for their school district. And so we have 13 staff members. Our first meeting, we met at a restaurant, we, sat and ate and talked. Our second meeting was at CMS's Media Center. And our third one, we did a little sip and paint, so you can see how creative we got there. But it's an awesome affinity group. I get coached along the way. I do weekend retreats and weeknights, three times a month. I meet with my coach one-on-one, and then we do group coaching. So they really help coach me along the way with how to run the affinity group. They give me resources to help support the work for educators of color. And I think what helps is a lot of times we chunk the terms hiring and retention together, but they really are very separate entities. And this is a way for me to try to retain our educators of color because it's very much so needed. So yeah, we meet monthly. We actually have our next meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Gosh.
So we do it once a month. And so we'll
Nice.
pick back up after the break. But we really do try to focus on community support, advocacy, and professional growth.
Amazing. Is it the same 13 all the time, or is it a bigger group and that's how many we're
Yeah,
there?
for the most part, it's the same 13. Some are able to come, some aren't,
Got
because
it,
it
of
is
course,
after, it
of
starts at
course.
4 o'clock,
Yeah.
so it depends, but we have 13.
Nice. Oh, that's amazing.
Can anyone join anytime?
Yes. Yes, it is designed for our educators of color, but yes, the meetings are open to staff. Like, we have a new one coming tomorrow. She's a student teacher that is going to be hired as a teacher. And so this is a way we wanna give her a sense of belonging to the district and help foster her as she continues her journey onto teaching, so.
And thank you for taking that on. That sounds like a lot. So, thank you.
I think I honestly really do like it. The only thing is the drive, where I'm like, I have to drive to Peoria.
Oh,
It's like,
oh.
I know, but it's okay. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Thank you. We'll just stick with the thank you for doing what you're doing. That's really
Well,
great.
the last 30 minutes of that drive are okay.
The last 30.
First 200
Just
are
a
gonna
few more updates. So Equity Unleashed is the network that I started last year, which is South Cook's Equity Network. It's going strong. So that second picture over there, we collaborated with the Attendance Network for our first meeting. And the thing that I'm most proud of with Equity Unleashed is it was a big undertaking. I mean, supporting 66 districts is a lot, and not all 66 are in the network, but to be able to provide it for 66 is a lot. So South Cook actually hired someone to help me with the network, Dr. Iman Ellis Bowen, who's been amazing because she's been able to help with the communication, bringing speakers on board, because last year I was doing it all and it was a lot, but she's helping tremendously with that network and expanding it even more. So we do meetings once a quarter. Our next one is in February virtually, and then our last one is here at the district office in May.
Nice.
Watchdogs has been going good. We've had 8 dads who have volunteered. Some have come twice, some have come 3 times. We're looking to, I was talking about this with John and Jaimin, we want to do a Dads with Donuts event after break to just try to keep the recruitment efforts going and not have it die out, but also keep it at the forefront of this is something we're doing because we're looking to expand it to the other schools.
Oh, clever. A lot of them already do donuts with that, but like it's usually at the end of the year, so.
Well, expanding Watchdogs.
No, I think that's brilliant, like.
Get the dads in with donuts.
Exactly, Michael.
Not above, it's PBIS, it's not bribery, but you know, donuts are good. I think that's great. And so then having them in all 5 buildings.
Yeah.
Long-
Mr.
long
Jones
term.
he's a highlight. He does
He's so
very well
good.
with it.
So good. Oh, that's awesome.
Newcomers, something that's been very heavily supported and just supported by Dr. Ashley Carlson. She's been awesome. I've been working with Rob and Evelyn, Laura, our bilingual liaison, and Rob, our EL coordinator and teacher, on helping our newcomer families. So newcomers is classified as family and students who are new to the States. And so it's all about, you know, providing the right procedure and protocol to get them adjusted into our district and into the community. And so, you know, that picture on the right is Evelyn there. We've put goodie bags together to welcome the students in. And it was a little strategic. Aside from giving them swag, we gave them beanies and gloves because some students do come from warmer areas and they don't realize how cold it can get over here. So it was a way to get them adjusted and acquainted with being here. There's I know we're gonna work on the website, but there's a tab on the website that takes parents through information, the basic information of the district and what to expect when coming to the district. Even with something as simple as how the schools look on the outside. Because it's different from other countries, walking up to a school and seeing that the door is locked might have a parent think that they're not welcome into the school, but rather understanding there's a bell, you know, hit the bell, wait until the front office buzzes you in, you walk to the main office. Something as simple as that can, you know, not be understood by a parent that's coming into the States. So all that's laid out on the website. We have a interviewing process just to be able to understand the parent more, the students more, to welcome them into the schools that they're going to. So we're working on that and we're continuing meeting on that to make that even better for the newcomers. And then just 2 more things. So PD, I've been going around to different schools, providing PD to the staff. Nothing revolutionary. It's about teacher-student relationships. Our staff does a really great job of fostering those relationships with their students. But it's just it's more so as a reminder about what implicit bias is, how it affects students, the components of strong teacher-student relationships, how to maintain relationships, and if something does go south, how to mend a relationship, just strategies on how to approach relationships with students. And then after break, we have 2 things to look forward to, which, you know, this could be detailed at a later meeting, but we're starting a book study. I'm really excited about that. We're going to, and there's gonna be 13 staff members involved. For some reason, 13 is my lucky number. We're gonna have a book study with 13 staff members about courageous conversation. And it's just a way to get staff more comfortable and confident talking about race and opening up that dialogue. So we're gonna start with the book study and, you know, reading through the book, having that dialogue so that we are more comfortable, which will hopefully, you know, in turn, reduce, you know, behavior and referrals to the office, but also equip teachers and staff with those conversation points to have with students. And just to have an understanding of different races. And then we plan on having a cultural night in February, which is Black History Month, but we're gonna include other races as well in that cultural night. So that's what we're looking forward to.
So much.
It's all good.
It is, it's wonderful. It's not the good, it's the all.
Yeah.
Like, whew, that's awesome. So cultural night in February. February's cold and short. We need something to look forward to. I like that. Okay. Very good.
I really like the fact that we're kind of getting ahead of for the newcomers.
So smart.
We were in the women's leadership meeting during the conference, and they spoke about that kind of intensely. in regards to some districts not falling behind the 8 ball in regards to newcomers,
Yeah.
but get in front of it. And
Absolutely.
I like the fact that you're highlighting that now, so that, you know, we're kind of getting ahead of the game per se,
Yeah.
you know.
I know I'm not gonna ask Dr. Carlson to speak right now, but we can provide the board an update. Our numbers have increased pretty significantly this year, and so we are trying to be very intentional on how we're providing two things. Our principals have shared like the intentionality with supporting our teachers and how do we really support a child who is entering a new school environment, as well as just simple like language barriers, obviously. So they did not share it this evening, but they put together a whole newcomer packet for our staff. That has really been, I know teachers have spoke to me about how supportive it has been as well. So it's definitely needed.
I'd love for us to find a way to incorporate some of the newcomer practices that we're doing with our partnership with the library. Like when you were mentioning the English, Spanish flyer, my first thought was like, I've had a conversation with Dr. Woodland and I think, I mean, I get the number wrong, but it's something like well over like almost 24 languages spoken
Yeah,
by
there's quite
families
a
in our
bit.
community. And you know, English and Spanish is great, but like I just wonder if there's like ways to like roll in some of our newcomers into the library, and like what a great way to like introduce them to some of the parts of EP and, you know, cultural exchange and just like resources that are available and to feel welcome, you know, here's a public resource that like kids go and hang out at, has all sorts of different opportunities for people to learn, and I don't know what the answer is, but I would love to see us try and incorporate some of our newcomer services with the library partnership. Not that you don't have enough to do already, Amanda.
No pressure, right?
Thank you.
Amazing,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Grab a cupcake. Mr. Rosie. Hello.
We had one FOIA this past month from Smart Procure, and that has been completed. Statement of expenditures, pretty consistent expenditures from the last 2 months, salaries and benefits, and then just wrapping up, construction. Our construction's close to what I thought it would, you know, roughly around there. So pretty consistent. Revenue-wise, we did receive just a little bit more tax money, nothing crazy, just very, very small amounts. So revenue also remained relatively flat from prior months. And as a result, we saw a fund balance dip a little bit. And actually, Dan, can you go back one slide? I wanted to point out on this slide, just with like the timing of payments of taxes. Last year, at the end of November, we had $7 million in revenue. And in November of this year, we have $17 million in revenue. So it's just very, you know, it's very important to have fund balance reserves for this exact reason, just because of the timing is just so random with tax payments and everything like that. And then fund balance went down as a result of the revenue remaining relatively flat. So now I'm gonna present the final presentation of the tax levy. This is the same presentation as last month. November 19th, 2024 was last month's board meeting where I gave the tax levy presentation, and now today I'm gonna give it for approval. It's due December 31st, but I'm gonna do it tomorrow morning, cause I do not like waiting on this one, so December 18th I was gonna put up there, but yeah. So then, after that, then we're good. CPI history, this is the history of CPI since 1993. And just to show that the 10-year average hovers around 2.7. So it just shows that even with those 2 5 years from the prior years, we're still at what our rough average was, CPI-wise. Breakdown of revenue. Here's our breakdown of revenue. Real estate taxes make up 71% of our total revenue. Evidence-based funding is 14%. Federal grants are 6%. Other local, 6%, and state grants, 3%. The recommended tax levy for levy year 2024 is education fund of $19,017,000, special education fund of $1.6 million, operations and maintenance fund of $2.6 million, transportation fund of $1.5 million, working cash fund of $200,000, IMRF fund of $400,000, and Social Security fund of $600,000 for a total levy of $25,917,000. And this levy request is 3.4% above prior year's tax maximum allowable extension, which is CPI. The recommended action for the 2024 tax levy is to adopt a tax levy that'll capture the 3.4% growth in the district's limiting funds above its prior year maximum allowable extension, and then to apply for the fiscal year 25 property tax relief grant, which will generate $1.8 million in tax abatements beginning in the 2024 levy year. And then that grant, probably around the February board meeting, will abate the taxes. So in January, we'll hear back from the grant, and then they'll tell us we got it, and then after that, then we do the resolution to abate it. Just, you know, we don't wanna abate it, not get it, kind of thing.
I know,
Yeah.
excellent, okay.
Public Act 1030394 report, this is the one to show that you don't have 250% of your fund balance, of expenditures in your fund balance reserved.
Wouldn't that
And,
be a wonderful, right? LSIP, didn't we
amazing.
say? LSIP
Yeah.
has like
There would be so many things you could do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we are not at that percentage.
No,
So,
we're not, yeah.
we do not have to do a reduction. End of presentation. Are there any questions?
That's it.
It's pretty straightforward. And we've heard all the way along already too, so I do see item B is to approve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Sir.
Okay. I don't have my script out here, okay. Next up, we are on to public comments. We have no public comments. I'm still gonna read it because it's what I do. So, per Board of Education Policy 2230, a few reminders specifically about the logistics for public comment portion of every meeting, including this evening, as is posted on our agenda publicly for every meeting. To respect all of our stakeholders, our commenters, our board, our public, we adhere very closely to the 3-minute limit for everyone. We will set a timer and we expect everyone to respect their 3 minutes. In addition, we don't respond to public comments at board meetings, but we do hear them. We respect, we listen to, and we take into account all concerns. If there's a specific question that comes up that we can respond to after the meeting, we will do so in a timely manner. Thank you. Okay, so, board reports. I didn't even ask. Who is giving the board policy report today?
Yes, I am.
Okay, tag,
No,
okay.
it was a pretty easy meeting. We met on December 10th. I don't even know when that was, last week.
A week ago.
A week ago. So we went over different minor changes that needed to be done. I'm just gonna go through some of these, like policy 5230, maintaining student discipline. That was just aligning to our school code.
Oh,
So,
we're already
yeah,
there.
basic.
Great.
And then we had policy 660. We took some language out that had to do with health education that really didn't have anything to do with us. Then we did policy 5100, staff development, again, just aligning with school code. Then policy 2120, board member development. That was funny because we had to look back on if we actually had these different trainings, because I didn't remember, you know. Yeah, there was a
That's
list of the
right.
trainings that we're supposed to have and, you know, we were like, I don't know, it's a while ago.
It's
so-
all the onboarding,
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
immediately upon,
So we were
the
making
OMA
sure-
and the,
Yeah, we were
so
making sure that we were
I
all doing
appreciate
it.
that,
and
okay.
so that we're good.
That's good.
Okay. And then there was policy 4170 regarding safety. That's when we were talking about the AEDs in the building.
Right.
And our current policy was we had to have one per building, and we started talking about central, saying we should have one for every floor.
Yeah.
But then Dr. Woodland got back to us, and I believe it was Officer Wright, already recommended that we would have 3, and they were purchased and installed.
You're way ahead.
And so
Okay.
that was nice. And, you know, well, because we were talking about the logistics and having
No.
one in that building.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was taken care of. And then policy 5330, which had to do with sick days. We missed some language. I had to look back at the language. when we updated last time, so we just made sure we put it in there.
Nice.
Like it says, like employees not covered by this agreement shall be treated as employees covered by this agreement regarding bereavement leave and whatnot. So it was something we missed
Of course.
last time, so we fixed it.
Now we're up to date.
Yeah.
I like it.
So we fixed it. And then policy 5250, leaves of absences. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my notes were just talking about, we just updated it to change it so it went along with that policy 5330. Okay.
Got it.
And then there was two that we just put on hold until new regulations come out in January regarding the uniform grievance procedure and Title IX.
Yep.
I think I got everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent.
I
We
like
love
it.
policy
my-
committees, don't you guys?
That one was nice
So
and,
exciting.
you know, that was pretty, you know, like just minor little changes. We didn't have to have a huge discussion. So it was just a nice visit.
There you go.
There you go.
Um,
And then they went to their party.
And then we went to our party
Oh my goodness.
Yes, we
And
the next day.
the, so now it's much easier to make the changes, hooray. And I really liked the policy report
Oh,
that
good.
you sent out, like showing the work that you had done and the just comment here and there and they changed an and to an or, like,
Yeah.
right, I know,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, 5-year review, et cetera, et
Exactly,
cetera. But
exactly.
I really like that, so, good job. Thank you. And knowing it'll update itself, it's a beautiful thing. Cool, facilities,
Facilities. Facilities committee met on Tuesday last
Right
week.
before
it's a
policy.
busy
Right
day.
before policy.
Holy cow, okay.
And we were meeting with our architecture firm. They were presenting to us, so we've got, you know, the 10-year facilities plan of just like maintaining all of our facilities and updating. And so that was really the meat of the conversation on Tuesday. And we were looking at the different projects that we've got slated for the summer, and primary of which being Southwest HVAC and Southeast HVAC. And the Southwest discussion kind of centered around like, hey, the quote came in pretty high, but they were informing us like, we don't really think it actually has to be a full-on like rip it out, put it all back in brand new. There's some like, I'm just gonna describe them as like kind of common sense fixes that they wanted us to approach first to try and fix some of the HVAC issues at Southwest, because a lot of those units and the system itself is not terribly old. It's kind of a piecemealed system that doesn't have, you know, everything in calibration with itself. Like, for example, some of the condensers on the air conditioning units that we got like 20 years ago are way too big, so they don't operate properly. And so some switches like that and like the negative pressure in the building, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with Southwest, but when you first open any of those doors and you really have to like heave on it, like that shouldn't be, and that affects, something little like that affects
So
how
interesting.
the building is cooled and how it is dehumidified, which causes some other problems. So they came at us with some solutions there that kind of help slash that bill tentatively by quite a bit, so we were in favor of that. And the positive on that is also like, hey, if it turns out we were wrong and we do need to do all the rip out and put it all back in, this work isn't gonna be undone. This work is actually in
Right,
progress to a
right.
final destination, so it's not like, oh man, are we actually spending this money and we're gonna have to rip it out anyway? It'll facilitate any future work that might have to be done.
That's great, right?
At Southeast, different conversation, they absolutely need the new system, like there's no like cutting around it. So that one is going to be slated, and that's actually what our bond is gonna help pay for partially. And then we talked about some other updates to Northeast and Northwest School, and cannot recall where we landed on with Northwest. I wanna say,
We look to complete abatement of their
yes,
floor.
asbestos abatement at Northwest was deemed to be our priority, so we're going to be focusing on that because cancer is bad.
Dr. Bannick, aren't you so happy? He's been asking for that for a long time, so.
And then towards the end, we just sort of tasked our architecture firm with like, okay, guys, we like these new school plans that you put together, we think it sounds neat, but we need some like actual information to digest now concerning like head counts, staffing, like all of the intricacies of it, not just like, what's it gonna cost and what's the big rectangle gonna look like on the map. We want some actual plans. So we've tasked them with that, that's what they're off doing now, and so hopefully we're gonna get some actual digestible plans that we can start making some decisions on in the near future.
That's exciting.
It was a very good meeting. I was actually just mentioning before the board meeting started how, facilities is one of the committees that I've been on since I started on the board. And my very first meeting was just Jim, Dr. Woodland, and myself, like sitting in the conference room. And I just feel like we've made so much progress as a committee. We have like agendas, and we've got guest presenters, and we've got, items, and we know what's gonna be on there, and it feels like very purposeful work. And it was just really great to see that kind of come full circle and see this like very functioning committee that, when you think about the schools outside of the staff and the teachers, we're just buildings, right? So like, it's a pretty important topic to stay on top of and to make sure we're managing responsibly, and it feels like we're doing that, so very pleased with it.
Well, I thank Jim and Eric for really helping to facilitate. They do a great job keeping it all on track, so.
Well, and both so great at translating things, Eric helps us understand the numbers part of it, and without Jim's knowledge of how the buildings need to operate, how they should operate, how they shouldn't operate, I mean, we're not experts in any of this stuff, so we really rely on you guys to like give us the advice we need, because as soon as they start talking negative pressures and condensers, I'm switching off.
So true, so true. So I do, I anticipate, and I'm looking at Eric and Jim, that precision from, will maybe at our January meeting to really, move us forward specifically on Southeast, so we will keep the board updated on next steps.
Great.
Cool. Next up is joint annual conference report. I'm just gonna report out on the delegate assembly, except you all received it on the 23rd via email from IASB as well. Little light reading before bed, so really what they reported on were the top 6 that you all tasked me with. And so the first one was dual language, that passed. The EBF authorized state charter school funding, so I know that was a question for you. The measure that would advocate for TIF process reforms passed, and the proposal to support creation of a statewide database for employment review, history review requirement passed. The resolution that would support the option for a unified health plan for school districts to participate in passed. And at the TLC meeting, our union president remembered that I talked about that. I was like, check her out. So Leslie, if you're listening, I heard you. It was great. And then we had voted no, and that was the amendment to the existing position statement on election day school closures. So I had heard from all of you that leave them closed, so our staff would have more of an opportunity to go and vote.
Yes.
So that was the, now unfortunately, we were voted, that was not what swung, so it was 372 to 52. So there you go.
Wow.
So, but that's actually 52, I was surprised by that one, cause sometimes they like lose by a landslide, so that one, it obviously struck a nerve. And then, the other ones did not make it back onto the agenda as discussed, so. Comments, quips, jokes about conference? You referenced, the women in leadership. That was great. It was great to share a table with some of my fellow women in leadership, right? So Patricia and Denise and I and Rachel were all at a table. They were good fellas, it's okay, it's all right. And it was Voice for Equity, right? So I was looking through that today, and they really did great work around leadership and equity, right? And how we are tasked and responsible for that. That was really great. We heard from Mickey, I wrote it down, Mickey Jones? Mickey Smith, the speakers, oh my gosh. Just off the charts, right? So good. So Mickey Smith was Friday afternoon, and Dave Horsager on Saturday morning was just spectacular. I know you got a book. I know I got a book. I didn't get it. It was signed. I did not wait for it to be signed, but I do not own the book. That was really great. And I had heard the Trust Edge, which is what he was talking about. So IASB had done like a Friday workshop on that 3 or 4 years ago, and Lori Grant had done it, and I was like, it was really great to hear from him specifically from the author, so. Okay, I'm done talking. So, who else was there and what other comments do you have?
Mine is just, I spent a lot of time with the vendors that were there, and
Nice.
there were several of them that had a high concentration on like STEM labs, smart labs, things of that nature. And, you know, just listening to them speak. I mean, there was one vendor that was there who stated, hey, you know, we'll send the kits to you, we'll show you how to set them up, and we'll even find the funding for you to get your up and running.
Amazing.
You know, and it was kind of like a debate and argument about, you know, maybe college isn't for every student, you know, and this gives them the opportunity to go into something else. The shortage we have now in, you know, mechanics and engine,
So true.
the plumbers and things of that nature, it's a different avenue for the children to explore. I came from a vocational school, you know, which was Dunbar. I enjoyed taking aviations and mechanics and, you know, things of that nature. I learned how to make a calendar from scratch, market it and distribute it. We sold it and got money from it. Something different than traditional education in school. But there's a lot. And then I spoke to one of my fellow board members and she put me on something. And so I did a little research. There's actual studies out there that shows that children with like behavior problems or, you know, conduct problems in school, they gravitate toward STEM products and labs and things of that nature. It's kind of, I guess it's the adventure or whatever it may be that they can go into this and it helps with their behavior and they comply in class and they catch up. And so it's something we can look into, you know, knock on wood about our new school, hopefully it's gonna come along in the near future.
Sure,
You know, it
absolutely.
could automatically be designed for this. So I thought it was really wonderful, especially that they'll find the money for us.
Right, yeah, I
You know,
wrote
and
that
pay
down.
for it for us, so I'm, in the future, we may get a presentation from someone, you know, just
Oh, thank you for
putting it
spelling
out there,
that
we'll
out,
look at
that's
it.
great.
And then there was one other vendor that I wanna mention, without going into the heavy part of this, unfortunately, we had an incident that happened, you know, right next door to us. While I was at conference, I did speak to a vendor who has a solution, you know, to help. I'm not gonna go deep into it because it's not on the agenda right now. It's kind of like at the beginning stages, but I'm gonna start looking and exploring, you know, what else can be done in situations where, you know, this comes up. And I'm keeping it light, you know, because of, you know, it's Christmas time. But they have a product that may, you know, be of interest to us. I like that it was something that can be shipped to us. It's something that we can put together ourselves. We don't have to pay a contractor or anybody to put it together. And it's quite basic, whereas when there is an emergency, a person can move from point A directly to point B, which is right there, and they're totally safe until the situation is over with. So I'll keep you posted as I look more into it.
Again, thank you for scouting that out.
Yep.
I don't always get down to the vendors, so I'm really glad that you made a point of that. I did get down to the vendors because we actually had a Northwest graduate and Central then junior high and now a Central, right? Graduate who works with international teachers. So she reached out to me on the Whova app, right? I mean, Rachel was all over the Whova app, okay? She was all over it.
Top 10.
Yes, she was up there, but she reached out to me, Suzanne reached out to me, and I had a chance to talk to her, but I was like, one of our own, right? So, yeah, it was really kind of cool, to be down there and to talk to her as well. Yeah, there's always so much to learn and people to talk to from completely different types of sizes of, you know, districts and composition and geography and everything, so it's just always a really good experience.
My first year actually taking the full tour for to see the vendors.
Oh, good for you.
Rachel and I, we just, you know, we were just able to do the
There's so many
hors d'oeuvres
things,
and,
right?
you know, walk around and talk. We were able to, I didn't even know it was.
It's huge.
It was huge. It's huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
Did you win us lunch?
Yeah.
Her first time at the vendors, she won lunch for all the staff from one of the, from one of the vendors, so, yeah, awesome.
Very good conference.
Yeah, it was really good.
And there were people from all over.
I know.
Some of the vendors were from Arkansas, Georgia. I mean, I was amazed that they got in their car, made a trip, or jumped on a plane
Yeah,
to come to our conference, so that was amazing.
yeah. Make the circuit, I bet. Yeah, I always find it just very, very interesting. So. Cool?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. On to action items on page 1. Whew. Look at us go. All right. So, We are on to action items. Our first up is consent agenda item, A. So one is to approve monthly transaction reports for November of 2024. Number two is to approve the fund balance reports for November of 2024. Number three is to approve expenditure report and projected payroll report for December of 2024. Number four is to approve board minutes for the regular meeting of November 19th, 2024. Number five is to approve closed session minutes for the regular meeting of November 19th, 2024. Number six is to approve destruction of closed session tapes from August of 2020. And item seven is the personnel recommendations as listed on the agenda. If I could have a first motion to approve consent agenda item A.
First motion.
Excellent. And a second? Great. And a roll call.
Michael Miller, Dr. Michael Thomas,
Yes.
Lauren Dowden,
Yay.
David Shepherd,
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes, Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great. Item B is to approve the fiscal year 25 tax levy as presented by Mr. Grossi. If I could have a first motion, please.
First.
And a second?
Second.
These Mike and Michael's overachievers over here. Okay. And a roll call, please.
Michael Miller,
Yay.
Dr. Michael Thomas.
Yes.
Lauren Dowden,
Yay.
David Shepherd,
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes, Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item C. Did we say I need to read them all?
No.
Okay. So
You can reference the
my
agenda.
concession was going to be that I would read one of them, but not both of them. But if I could just say, item C is to approve the first reading of the revised board policies as listed on your agenda. If I could have a first motion,
I'll make
please.
the motion.
Thank you. And a
Second,
second.
I will.
Great.
Second.
Our policy committee. And a roll call, please.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
David Shepherd,
Yes.
Lauren Dowden,
Yay.
Dr. Michael Thomas,
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes, Michael Miller,
Yeah.
Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great. Item D is to approve the first reading of those specific, specific revised board policies 420, 5250, and 5330 as recommended by the board policy committee. If I could have a first motion, please,
I'll make the motion.
and a second.
I'll second that motion.
Awesome. And a roll call.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
David Shepherd,
Yes.
Lauren Dowden,
Yay.
Dr. Michael Thomas,
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes, Michael Miller,
Yay.
Colleen Clemzak.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Excellent. And then item E is to approve the second reading and adoption of revised board policies as listed on the agenda. If I could have a first motion, please,
I'll make the motion.
and a second.
I'm going to second it.
And a roll call, thank you.
Rachel Merrickwin.
Yes.
David Shepherd,
Yes.
Lauren Dowden,
Yay.
Dr. Michael Thomas.
Yes.
Denise Jones, yes, Michael Miller,
Yay.
Colleen Clemzak. Motion passed.
Excellent, okay, and next we will recess to close session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity as amended by, PA 930057, and student disciplinary cases pursuant to the Open Meetings Act. We will return to open meeting obviously after closed session. We will not continue streaming and we do not have action items after. Can I have
First motion to go to closed session.
thank you, and a second, great, and a roll call.
Any objection to the previous roll?
Nice job. No.
I was
You
gonna
got
say, you got
that
that, I'm like, you got that from an Arrow meeting.
Right.
Here's all, he's not even here to appreciate it, but she knows that.
Man, I
Yes.
feel like we're gonna
Those
save
seconds
5
add up.
minutes.
I just did a double take when she said that.
All right, I love it.
7:13.
Nicely done. That's so smooth, Denise. You just slid that right in there. I love it. Thank you all for being here. Have wonderful holidays.
Yes.
Grab cupcakes. Do all those things.